Alright, we're going to continue where we left off. So here's what we have so far. My UCS is still set according to this drawing that we made over here before we extruded this shape. So the next thing we're going to focus on is this short little tube right here, where the handlebar shaft will be going through, connecting to the wheel. So we're going to model this thing here. So I'm going to start on this end just because there's more room to see. And first thing I want to do is align my UCS and open up my Diet Pepsi. Alright, click on the UCS tool. We're going to align this with an object, and you could choose any one of these three lines here. Actually, this line would do as well. Most of these would work, but we're going to choose, let's pick this one here. Now I need to find my UCS, so I'm going to display my UCS at origin so I can see which way I need to rotate. So right now if I draw a circle, it's going to be on this grid, just flat like that. And I want my circle to be perpendicular to that line so that I can extrude along this path. So my Z needs to be aligned with, parallel with these lines, because that's the path I want to use to extrude. So I have to rotate again on Y. So I'm going to go up to this tool here to rotate, choose Y from the menu if it isn't already chosen for you, and then you can see, I'm just going to orbit here so you can see what's going on. I can either snap it going this way, or I could snap it going this way. Either way, the same result. I want to be able to extrude along this path. So I'm going to just click over here. Again, you could have just clicked the enter key or put in the value 90 degrees. We want to rotate 90 degrees, then press enter. Now our UCS is correct. So I'm going to now draw a circle. Use that as our center point, and then click to the outer red line to make our circle. Now we need to offset this. We've been using the value 0.7 for the thickness of all of our metal stuff. So I'm going to press enter after I type in 0.7 and then select the object to offset. I'm going to select this object and then just move my mouse. If I moved it to the outside and click, it's going to offset to the outside. I already have my outside measurement. I need to offset on the inside. So I'm going to move my cursor towards the inside and click. Take a sip of Pepsi. Alright, now we're going to region these things and then subtract the center. So I'm going to region. We've done this several times before. This is just the same process. Actually, we're still in the command for offset. So before I do this, I just need to escape out. There we go. Now we can type region. Region these two circles. And I'm going to subtract. I like to just type it in. Keeping, when you subtract, you want to select the object you want to keep first. That's a tricky one. So I'm going to select the outer circle. I want to keep that. And it even tells you there, select solid surfaces and regions to subtract from. So you're subtracting from what you want to keep. So I want to subtract from the outer circle. And from the outer circle, I want to subtract the inner circle. Now I have my nice ring here. Now we're ready to extrude. I'm just Select the solid, extrude, just to make sure it extracts as a solid. It would anyway because it's a region, but we're going to do that. Enter. Now I just need to find a point on the other side to snap to. So I'm going to orbit around here and then snap to this end point. Now your cursor could be a little bit away from that green line. As long as it shows up there, you can click. It's going to snap to that. Alright, now this is a solid, and we've tried to trim before with solids. It doesn't work. Or actually we're slicing because this is a solid as well. So we want to use this to slice this 3D object. It's not going to work. We need a surface. So we're going to go ahead and explode this. So type in explode, select your object, press enter. Now this is a surface that we could use to slice our solid. Now this is a tricky thing, so I'm going to show you why in just a second, but our solid actually goes through this, and some of it is on either side of this tube, and then some of it's on the inside. So using this surface to slice it, it's going to create like two separate solids basically, but it's going to be one. You'll see what I mean when we do it. So now we're going to try to slice this thing. So we're in the solid tab, click on the slice button, select the object you want to slice this thing, press enter, and then we want to choose from the menu. We're going to use a surface to slice our solid here. So click on surface and then click on the actual surface. Now we've successfully sliced our object, and it's asking us, do we want to select the sliced object to keep or keep both sides? I'm going to keep both sides for now to show you what happened. So we used an object that basically sliced our solid in 3 parts. We have this center part here, and then we have these 2 halves, which these 2 halves are actually still considered one 3D solid object, even though they don't touch each other. So I'm going to get rid of this part here. I'm just going to select it, press delete. Now I can't simply just select this side of it and press delete. It's going to remove the whole thing. So even though there's no connecting material in between these two, it's still considered a solid object. So I need to slice it a second time. And I could have done this step first, but I wanted to show you that even though they're 2 separate parts, AutoCAD still considers it one object. So we need to slice it again. We're going to use this line here to create another surface that we can use to slice. Actually, I don't think we even need to use that. Let's go to a slicing plane that is going to work for this. So let's go to the Home tab, and we're going to go back to the World UCS. The UCS with the world symbol next to it. This is where we were when we started this project. Now you can see our work area is flat back to the 2D drawing. And the way solid slice works is all it needs, if you're making a straight slice, all it needs to know is the line that you would be using to slice along. And the line could be really short or it could be really long. It just needs to know basically the slicing plane that you want to use to slice it. So we're just going to use the regular slice command. It's the easiest way to do this. So I'm going to go to solid, slice, and we want to choose the object to slice. We want to slice this thing. enter. It says specify start point of slicing plane. So we could use this endpoint as our starting of the line. And then I want it to be in line with that, so I'm going to have to orbit and then just use the other endpoint here. Ooh. There's definitely an intersection there, but I'm going to shift right click and force it to use endpoint just so I make sure it's the right spot. Click there. Now I'm just going to keep both sides for now. And we've successfully sliced this into 2 parts now. So we're just going to select this part on the outside and press delete. I'm going to leave this surface here because I'm going to need that to trim this when we model this, which is the next thing we're going to do. Okay, so now we have a curvy line here. This is the first time we've run into this situation. So we can't just extrude a shape in a straight line. It actually curves. So don't be afraid. It's not as hard as you think. Alright, here we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a line from any point on this center line. So I need the line tool. Here we go. And to start any point on this line, I could choose the midpoint because it snaps there, but just to practice this, I'm going to do shift right click, choose nearest, because it doesn't really matter where. And I can choose any point on this line. I'm just going to click here. And then I want my line to be perpendicular to the outside line. So I'm going to just click when I see that perpendicular snap. So I have half of my line here. I need the other half, and it needs to extend out to the other side. So I'm going to extend this line. Let me go back to trim. So this is what it normally looks like. You have the scissors here for trim, which we've used before. If you click on the arrow, it changes to the opposite, which is extend. So I'm going to select extend, and this works similar to the trim where you're actually selecting the boundary first before you choose the line you want to extend. So I want to extend the line to this boundary. So I'm going to select this as my boundary, press enter. Then I'm just going to hover over this line and zoom. You can see it wants to extend out to there. Once you get that nice preview, you're just going to click there and the line is extended. Now if I had multiple lines to extend out to this line, I could just click on those, but I don't. I just have one line right now. So I'm going to press escape. I'm done extending. So now we have a nice line that is the correct distance from here to here. So I'm going to draw my circle next. Click on the circle tool, find the midpoint here. But click out here. Actually, that didn't work. So this we're going to create it from side to side. So we need to do a different kind of circle. So it's a 2-point circle. I'll click on there and choose this point and then out to this point. And you're saying, Mr. Vigil, the UCS isn't lined correctly. I know. Don't worry. We're going to now get rid of this line. We do not need it any longer. And then we're going to offset this circle So go to offset, specify the distance, it's 0.7. My value is already in there because it's the last one I used. Press enter, select the circle that you want to offset, and then just scroll inside, or move your mouse inside, not outside the circle, you want inside, and click. Now we need a region. Getting a lot of practice doing this. Oh, we're still in the offset. It's assuming I might want to offset another object, but I don't, so I'm going to press escape. Now region, enter. Select the two lines here. Then we need to subtract. Select the outer circle that you want to keep, enter. Select the inner circle to subtract, enter. Alright, now we're going to learn a new method of extruding. It's called sweeping. So we're going to sweep a path. Here's the path that we're going to sweep, and here's the shape we're going to use. And AutoCAD is smart enough to know that if your shape is perpendicular to the direction you want to extrude, it's just going to go ahead and rotate your shape before it extrudes it. So it's going to do the work for us. We don't have to change our UCS before we draw the shape. We just need to draw the shape and tell it which path to use. So we have our region created, and we're going to go to the Solid tab, and here's our new button, Sweep. So we're going to click on that, and then select the object that we want to sweep, press enter, and then you need to choose the path that you want to sweep along. So I'm going to choose this path here. And there you have it. Have our nice curved tube there. So we have a surface over here we can use to slice our solid, the newly created solid here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the slice command and choose this object that we want to slice. Enter. Then I want to use a surface to trim. So I'm going to select a surface from the menu here. Then I want to choose this outer surface. Then I want to, it's saying select sliced object to keep, or we could keep both sides. I'm going to cut my work in half by just clicking on the side that I want to keep. I'm going to select this side, and it will get rid of the other side for me. So now we're done using this surface as a slicing surface. So I'm going to turn off the other layers just to make this easier. So I'm going to go to the Home tab. Oh, didn't mean to click on that button. Click on the Isolate button. And we're just going to isolate to this layer. Press Enter. And all the 2D drawings are gone. And now I want to try to surf sculpt this back into a solid. So I'm going to select, you could do it, I'm going to do the reverse, sorry. So type in surf sculpt. Surf sculpt. And then I'm going to select the inner and the outer surface along with, oh boy. Let me just check to see what happened here. If I select this inner part, this outer part, there we go. And then you have these little caps on the end. I was trying to select all of them at once. Let's just do them one at a time. Make sure you have all of those selected. So basically these are like caps. When we exploded our solid, you need this, the inner and the outer, and then the top and the bottom caps selected. Press enter. Now it should be a solid again. So now we've got this solid, which is nicely trimmed. We got this solid back all together, and we've created this curve here, which is terminating over here. Now this is not a surface, so I can't use that to trim or to slice this solid. So instead of converting it to a surface and going through all those steps to then convert it back, there's a different thing that we could do. What I'm going to do is just create a temporary solid by drawing a circle. Let's see if I can do a 2-point circle. This will work. I'm hoping that I don't have to move my UCS. I probably will, but let's try this. No, it's not going to work. Okay, we do need to move our UCS. So that might save some time, but we're going to go ahead and do this because it's something new. So I need to turn back the layers. And I'm going to isolate. Actually, let's just leave them all on. I'm going to go ahead and snap my UCS to this line. So I'm going to click on the UCS tool, snap to an object. I'm going to click on this line. So here's my X, and my Z is going in the wrong direction. I need this to rotate that way. So this is one of the first times we're going to be rotating on X instead of Y. So let's go ahead and go to the rotate on X, press enter. Now we're ready to draw our circle. So what I'm going to do is grab this. Let's go ahead and stick with a 2-point. I'm going to go out here to this point. And then out here to this point. Have a circle here. And I want to extrude that circle as a solid. So I'm going to go to the solid tab, extrude. So we can find the circle here, go out to the edge. Oh, let's just find a way to select all of this stuff. Now I'm going to remove this solid from the selection by holding the shift key down. So now the only thing that's selected is the circle. That was easier than trying to just select the circle because it assumes I want to select the solid. I'm going to press enter. So I'm extruding this now all the way down. It just needs to go past this tube, so it doesn't have to necessarily go out of sight here. So I'm just going to click here. So I should have a solid in here, this thing here. And this solid is like a solid core. It's not, there's nothing hollow about it. So I can use this solid to subtract from this solid. So basically cutting this shape out of this solid. So I'm going to use the subtract instead of slice. I'm subtracting one solid from another. So I'm going to go subtract. And then I want to keep this object. That's the one I want to subtract from. Press enter. And then I want to remove this solid. Press enter. So now I'm going to orbit to see inside. It should be empty in there. And it is.